Is it possible to do all 6 U.S. Disney parks in one day? Becca put this challenge to the test. Find out if she was successful in today's episode.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
Disney challenges are always a great way to add some extra excitement to your Disney vacation. From the mountain challenge to riding every ride, and even things like trying all the new foods, there really is a challenge for everyone. But what about a post-to-post challenge in one day? Becca recently took on the challenge of doing all 6 Disney parks in the U.S. in one day, and today we get to hear all about it. Becca, how did you come up with this idea to go from Florida to California and doing all these parks?
It started because I had a September trip to Walt Disney World that for personal and family reasons I had to cancel going with some friends. And I was like, man, I really just want to go. I want another Walt Disney World trip this year. And so I was like, oh, I should go here. Right after my birthday, the holidays are kicking off. But then I was like, oh, but I need to be at Disneyland for the kickoff of the holidays there. And so I was like, oh, I could just go from one to the other. And that's where the idea was born, is like, what if I tried to do this all in one day, try to do all 6 parks? And so I messaged a friend who happened to be in Disneyland at that time. And I said, I know you're traveling right now, but when you get home, I have a crazy idea. I want to know if you want to do it with me. And she's like, okay, you can't text me that and not tell me. And she's like, I need to know. So I'm like, tell me when I can call you. She's like, you can call me right now. I called her. I told her. She booked the flights before even talking to her husband that day so that we could try this.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'll go and I want to do all 6 US parks in one day and give this a shot. So that's how the idea came about.
Okay, so tell me, does this mean that you're like flying to Florida, going to all those parks that same day, and then flying to California? Or did you like spend time beforehand in Florida? Like, how does that work?
So I live in Idaho. So flying to Florida, I could not get there. Probably the earliest I would be able to get there would be 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So it would not have worked. So we did fly down a few days before, and we did stuff in the parks, and we did like the holiday party there and had a blast. And then on the last day that we were in Florida, we woke up and we did this challenge. And then we went, after we went to California, we spent a few more days there. So in total, we did a 9-day trip.
Wow.
Probably you don't have to do it that long, but we wanted the extra. We spent 5 nights in California because we knew the holidays were kicking off in Tiana's, and we wanted as many opportunities to go on Tiana's as possible because we
But
knew
you
it'd be
gave
hard.
yourself like a full day, and you started in waking up in Florida, and then you flew to the West Coast to give yourself more time because you're going backwards in time so that you can get those. Okay, so all 6 Disney parks, but what are the rules? Are you just like popping in, putting in your foot and being like, came here, did it?
So this is where I think there have been other people that have done all 6 parks in one day. But our rules, we made it a little more complicated. A lot of people, they go in and they only take a picture with the icon. And that's the whole thing, like park icon. And then they go to the next park. Or they do rides, but they're not like, there's no rules to what ride they can do. And the other thing is a lot of them Uber in between the parks, or because it's faster a lot of times. So our rules were that we had to get a park icon photo. We also had to do one ride in every park, and that ride had to be unique. It couldn't be a ride that you would find in one of the other 5 parks that we were hitting that day. So that took out like Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World. It took all those rides out of being in contention. Wait, what?
It wasn't eligible.
Yeah. All those rides weren't eligible. And then the other rule that we made is at Walt Disney World, we had to use Walt Disney World transportation to go from park to park. And we couldn't use anything else. So that's where it got a little tricky on the Walt Disney World side because of the fact that we're hopping parks so early, and you have Animal Kingdom that only uses buses, right? There's no other way to get to Animal Kingdom. And that was our opening park, but they don't run buses. They do run park to park buses, but not till after 10 a.m. So that's where it
Okay.
got. And so the options were we could ride a bus back to a resort, any resort, and then go to Magic Kingdom. Or what we did was we used the minivans, which are a through lift, but they are specific only to Walt Disney World. And part of the reason for that is they pick you up right where the buses are and they drop you off right at the front, unlike regular Ubers and Lyfts that have to pick you up in the rideshare area. So those were our rules. And
Did you
yeah,
guys just come up with these rules together, or did you like ask your followers to come up with some
so
ideas?
I mostly came up with them. We did debate the food, adding a food from each park where we had
Mhm.
to eat somewhere, but ultimately decided against that because after talking with my friend that I went with, her name's Tony, we realized that Walt Disney World, a lot of the places don't open until 11 a.m. that
Okay.
are other than Starbucks. And we're like, we're not going to do a challenge that includes food and get something at a Starbucks, you
True.
know? And so we took the food out. So we did discuss it. And then we discussed which rides we would do. But I said from the beginning, I want it to be a unique ride. I don't want to be doing something that I could do at Disneyland, at Magic Kingdom, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So
I
it was
love
good.
that. Okay, so beyond talking to each other, how did you plan out your day and like make the itinerary?
Okay. So while I've been to Disney World several times in the last couple years, I don't know it like I know Disneyland, right? Like Disneyland, I know with you, I could get you around the park with my eyes closed, all that. But Walt Disney World, I made our plan with my friend. We made our plan together, and then we booked through Getaway Today. And while we wanted to make our own lightning lanes for our trip, one thing they do offer is they offer concierge service. So that is one where you can ask them to make your lightning lane reservations. But also, what we did was we emailed them our plans and said, let Brooklyn, who's the best with Walt Disney World, um, we asked her what her thoughts were on our plans, and she told us her thoughts and then gave us a few backup options in case a ride was down or some form of transportation wasn't working. And so that was really great. So that's one of the reasons I like to book through Getaway Today for Walt Disney World is because they have the best experts and it's super personalized on their concierge service when you book a qualified package through them. So you can book through them by going to getawaytoday.com/castle talk. And that lets them know that we sent you. And so we'll be able to yell at them if they aren't giving you that top notch service, but I already know they will because they always do.
Yeah. Yeah, when you book those Walt Disney World packages through them, I believe how it works is you get a dedicated concierge email
Mhm.
where you can have that personalized service and do things like that, where you can send an itinerary or you can say, help me create an itinerary and just
Yeah.
get that really personal custom service, which I love
Yeah.
that. That's so
So
cool.
yeah, and a couple things that I want to mention besides the lightning lanes, them making your lightning lane selections, which you do in advance at Walt Disney World,
Mhm.
um, so can help you with getting your dining reservations. And Brooklyn and the other Walt Disney World concierge um, team members are amazing at that. They can get you into those hard places. Now, maybe not always the exact time that you wanted, but pretty close. They're really, really good at what they do, and they really know Walt Disney World, and they all know Disneyland too. But yeah, it was great.
That's amazing. Okay, can you tell me really quickly like what order you did the park?
Oh, of course, yeah. So we started in Animal Kingdom, which we did with early entry. So normally in Walt Disney World, Animal Kingdom tends to open an hour before the other parks. And so that's why we started there. But it happened that because of the crowd predictions, they ended up opening Magic Kingdom at the same time. So that one was another option someone could have done. But we started in Animal Kingdom. We took the bus there. We did Navi River Journey in Pandora. And we got out of there. We were leaving the parks before early entry was even over. So before
Perfect.
official rope drop, we took a minivan at that point to Magic Kingdom, and we got there at just after 8, which was park opening. So I consider that we rope dropped and we hit up the People Mover, which is a longer ride. But when you take into account its walk-on compared to other rides we have had to wait in line, we decided it was the best option. And then we took the monorail from there to Epcot, and we were at Epcot within 5 to 10 minutes of opening there as well.
That's so cool.
Right? And then we headed into Journey into Imagination with Figment because we knew it would be walk-on. And it's Figment. You got to see Figment at least once while you're there. And then we took the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios, Disney's Hollywood Studios, and there we did make lightning lane selections. So we had 3 in case any of them were down, but we ended up doing choice, which was Tower of Terror. And then we took the bus back to our resort and got our bags that we checked that morning, went to the airport. There was no line at the airport, so we had plenty of time to spare and get food. It was great. And headed to California, where we had the most hiccups of the day.
Okay.
Did California Adventure and then Disneyland.
Wow. Okay. So you did share most of this on social media, but what were those hiccups? What happened that went wrong?
So Disney World was pretty smooth, other than even though I had the exact same stuff in my bag, I walked through security the same way. For some reason, at Hollywood Studios, I got flagged and had to go get my bag checked. So their security is different than Disneyland. You walk through these like sensors and it will just flag like if you have a really large battery pack and you're not holding it out where they can see it or something like that. I don't know what was different, but I got flagged. So I had to go to security to the like bag check. But in Disneyland, first off, our luggage took forever to drop at our at the airport, which we had. Those were on a 9-day trip. We had to have checked luggage.
Yeah, of course.
And so, and then it was rush hour. So we kind of already knew that. But we got to California Adventure and our plan had originally been to ride Monsters Inc. But it was at a 45-minute wait and then it went down. And so we're like, well, that was not happening. So we decided to do Pixar Pal Around and we booked it there. But they closed it literally as we were walking up because it is World of Color. So they had closed it right as we were walking up. They said, actually, we're not letting anyone else in line. So then we're like, okay, Monsters Inc. can come back up. So we're like, okay, we're going to book it there. Festival of Holidays was doing its pre-opening thing. So we decided, okay, the Cars Land route and then cut through Avengers Campus and go that way. But as we got into Cars Land, Tony looked at the app again and it had already gone back up to 45 minutes. Not enough people had gotten out of line, apparently, when it went down. So at that point, she goes, Luigi's is at 15 minutes. So we hopped on Luigi's and we did that. And that was good. And then we did Disneyland and more of the same. Because we've gotten behind over there, we had originally wanted to do one of the Fantasyland rides, like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, because we thought wild ride, kind of a wild day.
Yes.
Because we got hung up in California Adventure some, then Fantasyland closed for the fireworks because they had decided to do a special preview of the fireworks that night. And so that wasn't available. And then we were like, okay, I guess we're going to do the Matterhorn and break our backs. But that wait was 45 or 60 minutes. So we wouldn't have time to do that. And so we ended up doing Storybook Land Canal Boats. And it actually ended up being like the perfect end to the whole thing. We told the cast member, recorded what we were doing. And so then we get on our boat and we come back around and she was waiting for us with I'm celebrating pins and yelling, congratulations, you did it, and all this stuff. And right after we got off, the fireworks started and there was
way.
And it was amazing. And then we had friends that met us, the castle.
So cool.
It was so fun.
My goodness. That's so fun. Wow. I love that. See, that's why you make up these fun, different things to do because there's always something different that you could do, whether it's like some crazy coast to coast challenge or it's just something simple like we're going to ride things that we haven't gone on since we were kids, or we're going to try things we've never done before, or just like anything. It could be simple. It could be crazy. It could be difficult. So you were successful. You did all 6 Disney parks in one day.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then what kind of tips would you give to people who want to do some type of Disney challenge?
Um, do it. First off, it's fun, but also make sure it fits like you're doing it with other people that will be as excited as you. Don't plan to do like the mountain challenge, which is where you ride all the mountains within a certain, like, I think it's like an hour or something that you try and do it within. Don't plan that with people that don't like thrill rides because they're all thrill rides, right? So definitely find someone that is as crazy as you are and has, and one thing I will say is like, Tony, my friend that went with me, and she has the energy level that I needed. Like she's a night owl and I'm not. So she really pushed me um
Mhm.
there, but also like when we were at the holiday party and stuff to keep going and stay there. Whereas Jessica and I both are not the best night owls, though Jessica has had some late nights recently. And so I feel like if I'd been with Jessica, I kind of would have been like, okay, I'm tired, let's go. I love you, Jessica. I just don't know if I would have had the energy.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip.
So, and then just find one that it doesn't have to be something as big as doing all 6 Disney US parks. And you can also come up with your own. So, there's lots of ways to do challenges. One that I want to point out is something that you could do is every year our friend Dusty with Mice Chat, he puts on the Gumball Rally in February. And that's a race to ride all the rides in one of the parks. This year it's going to be at California Adventure and to ride as many as you can. And then, but they also have like questionnaires. So you have to like find a little detail so they can be, prove that you've ridden the ride that day because you don't know what those are going to be. And that's a fun one to do. And you can do that in teams and they have awards and everything afterwards. So there's lots of fun things that you could do.
Yes. All right. Would you do this coast to coast challenge again?
Yes, 100%. And I told Tony, I said, I think we should get a group of people that want to do this together and do it again
Love it.
because it would be so much fun. If I did it again, though, I would 100% do it on a night that Disneyland closes at midnight,
Mhm.
um, 10 for us. And that hopefully California Adventure will close at 10 or whatever the latest time it is, because I would love to add like the food challenge or maybe a challenge where, we don't use Lightning Lane at all, that we only used it
Yeah.
on one run. We used it. And so
Mhm.
uh, I would love to do it again. So if anyone
I know
wants
that's
to do it
awesome.
with me, just leave a comment, shoot me a message, something. I want to set this up.
Yeah. So this could be an annual thing. If you're interested in joining Becca next time for Coast to Coast Challenge, you can actually see more about this challenge on YouTube and Instagram. Where should they look to see the highlights from this challenge?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I'm the Becca Robbins and I have a highlight on it, a 6 parks 1 day. And then on YouTube, I have, I'm covering it. It's not live when we're recording this, but we'll be live when this episode airs. And that is Theme Park Tips by Becca. But the handle, if you're using the handle on YouTube, is also at the Becca Robbins. So definitely go check those out. And I hope that it inspires others to do their own challenges. If not, join me on another challenge because I'd love to do this with some more people.
That sounds like so much fun. Let's get that coast to coast rolling for next year. Thanks for joining us on Castle Talk Radio, and we'll see you real soon in Florida and in California in one day.